Okay, so back guys to Flames Talk on Flames TV, and I have none other than Sam Ajibola, my special guest, aka Spiff. Good to have you on the show, bro.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So good to have you here. How's it been? How's it been going?
Well, thank God. Pushing.
The topic today is Nollywood, the impact. People do not know that you're actually a veteran when it comes to Nollywood. You did not start today. If I may be corrected, I think you started around the time that you did the movie Eyewitness.
Eyewitness is my fourth movie. My first movie was Tears for Love. I think between 96 and 97. And I did in Without Love too. Both of them had Kepi Ekbayong Basi play as my dad, and Hilda Dokubo. Auntie Hilda was my mom in Without Love. I went on to do Shame with RMD and Liz Benson and Uncle Shola Fusodo before Eyewitness with Kanayo.
Wow, so you've come a long way. Yes. So since then, we've seen how much Nollywood has evolved to what it is now. Back then, there were no high-grade movies being made. Producers, directors had to work with the old technology. But right now, we have newer technology coming in to play. What is your own ideology of how far we've come? Do you think we've gone far enough? Or we still have a long way to go?
Well, I think it's a bit of both sides. We've come far, and we still have a lot more to achieve. We're barely 30 years in the industry, but we are ranking third in the world. So it means that we've come far in a space of 30 years. Well, that is that we still have a lot more to go in terms of, fundamental structures, government policies, and a whole lot of things that would ensure the well-being of everybody in the industry. There's been an upgrade in various aspects of departments, from the kind of camera we're using then to the kind of cameras we're using now, to the kind of directing, lighting equipment, sound equipment, production design, sound design, art design. There's just been, very significant growth in all those new movies, which we obviously did not have back then. But I still prefer the stories of, the older movies to the stories of the new movies.
Comparing your acting career as a movie actor and you being in series, which would you see as more challenging?
Well, they all have their unique and peculiar challenges. I just basically enjoy whichever form it is, whether it's a movie or a series. I just enjoy the fact that I have to, become a different character and interpret the character and feel and see how it is to, actually produce, a movie. Just being part of that process, that's what really I love. So I don't really have any, should I say, favorite movie or series.
Okay, so the character Spiff, I know you will go around and people will call you Spiff because that character really went far. Like people forget your real name, they call you Spiff. How did that character come about?
I attended a tinsel audition around 2009 or 10, and I'm guessing when they wanted to start the show, they just went through some of the auditions from tinsel and picked, younger people, because the show, The Johnsons, initially was surrounded around young people, so they just looked for young people and then they contacted them. So I was one of the people they reached out to. Then I came for the proper audition for the Johnsons, and I kept on, being selected at each, re-auditioning and recasting until the last day I got the role. And it was part of the names of the cast. So, but naturally, the main focus was on the character Abulu, because Abulu was the bully. Abulu was the bully. I'm not saying that the story was created around Abulu. The story was created around Ife Johnson, but because Ife was the subject of bullying, and Abulu was the biggest bully in Ife's class or Ife's school, Abulu had to have two characters to work with him. The assistants, his boys, and it was supposed to be Spiff and Ishaya, but when he got to the casting, I found myself that guy was the only one that was there with Abulu. So I asked the director, asked the writer, the production guy, like, look, what's up? And then they just told me I should pick one of the names out of the two character names, and I should read both. And I was like, okay, great, fine. So I said Abulu. I saw the names Ishaya and Spiff. Ishaya, Spiff. I said Spiff would be more catchy. So I picked the name Spiff, and we just started the season, and that's how I got on the show.
You actually evolved with that character. Did you notice that at the early stage, your voice was deeper, and then as the series kept transcending, you started using a lighter voice, and you became funnier. Okay, so did you grow into that character, or was it related to the director?
I grew into it. Like you correctly said, my interpretation of the Spiff character in season 1 wasn't the way I interpreted it from season 2 or 3, where I brought about the idea. I had just gotten some training on acting and understanding characters and characterization. So I basically just wanted to try something because I knew the show was a big opportunity. It was going to be on a big platform where a lot of people will see. So I decided to just come up with something creative that a lot of people would remember for a long time, and thankfully it worked out.
People act movies and then names stick. Like, for instance, it kept Owo. Everywhere he goes, people would call him Osofia. Okay. Now, everywhere you go now, I'm sure 98% of people that you would meet would call you Spiff, right?
Well,
do you have a problem with that?
Yes.
Yes. Do you have a problem with that?
No, I don't.
Okay. So do you intend to take that name and to create something of your own?
No, I don't. The name belongs to the show. It's not mine.
Okay, belongs to the show.
I didn't create the character. I didn't create it. I didn't create the name of the character. I only brought my ideas into interpreting the character, so I cannot use the name Spiff.
Back to the topic, Nollywood and the impact in Africa. How would you say the Johnsons as a series on its own from Nigeria has impacted in other African countries?
To be honest, in the last decade, which is from 2012 when the show started up until now, it's been fundamentally the most significant television comedy show and perhaps most prominent, exactly, on digital television in a lot of African countries. So the idea behind the show is family oriented, so a lot of people can relate to that family feeling, and then it also a show that talks about moral, good vices and shuns negativity. So these are the stories that our African society needed to hear, and I'm happy that we were able to do that to a large extent.
Fantastic. Okay, so back to Nollywood and Africa. How would you say that Nollywood movies has impacted other African movie structures, basically? Like, for instance, the closest we have to us is Ghana.
Well, I think it has had positive and negative effects. Negative effect in terms of the morals from our kind of stories lately. It's been so diminished. It's bare to see good stories preaching good morals. If it's not a film talking about the rich, boyfriend, girlfriend, rich kid, or someone going to Babalawo, or no really strong, significant stories. Well, we have some though. We have some, but they're not prominent as much as they should be. Well, on the positive side, other African countries have also want to develop their own entertainment, creative industry to also level up and also, be recognized globally, just like Nigerian industry. So,
do you see yourself as more of a comedian than an actor?
No, I'm an actor.
How would you categorize yourself?
I'm an actor. I am an actor. I am not a comedian.
So never at any point did you decide to say, Spiff, sold. Can I go into comedy? Should I go into? Did you ask yourself that question at any point?
I think the better description you would have me call myself is, while I'm an actor in general, I'm a branch of my acting that could make me a comic actor. I have. Okay, let's just say comic acting is also one of my strengths under, acting. But beyond comic acting, I've always, seen myself as a method actor. And I'm not limiting myself to just comic content. In fact, these days I would like to see myself more in drama, thriller, other genres. Yes, if comedy comes, of course, why not?
Before we go, give us an exclusive. Would you tell us the real reason why you left the Johnsons?
Well, I've already come out to publicly say the real reason why I left the show.
Is that the real reason?
The African media is very adulterated with a lot of fake news. Some people still believe it's my wife that got me to leave the show, which is so not true. In fact, she was shocked when I informed her that I was done. She's someone that enjoys the show, enjoys the character. So she was also in shock when I told her that I was leaving. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm a very adventurous person. And my personality is not one that likes to be found doing the same thing for a long time. I'm also very intentional, and I understand, time and seasons. So, most importantly, I'm very spiritual, and I have a very strong relationship with God. So I follow His leading, whenever He's directing me. The opportunity came for me at a very wonderful time in my life. In fact, I was just finishing university, and I had this opportunity come and just give me, such a good
platform
to show the world that, a bit of the stuff that I'm made of. So that was beautiful, and I enjoyed it. The ride, I enjoyed literally, filming the character all throughout, because like I mentioned, I'm very intentional, and when the opportunity came, I already knew what I wanted to do with the opportunity. I knew Africans were going through a lot, and I knew I could make them, take away their burdens, their stress by, laughing, humor. Because I've heard so many times that, comedy is a remedy for the soul. So,
exactly.
I did that as something I wanted to fulfill for, some part of me to know that I had achieved that. And I did that for almost 10 years. And even before 2017, I'd already come to a point where I had started living in the fulfillment that, I've been able to achieve this goal by the grace of God. And so when the time came for God to want me to move on to bigger things, even me too, I was shocked, because I knew I was really doing good, with the show, with the character and everything. But if you're someone that follows the voice of God, sometimes it tells you to do crazy things. Look at the example of Abraham, how he told him to leave his family and go start something new. God usually works like that. I really knew that it was time for me to leave. I knew that it was time for me to grow into, something else. Even just beyond the God factor, personally, I started getting tired of the character. I started getting messages that it was aim of making my people happy. I'm still, grateful for that opportunity, but just like everyone else, there's time for everything. There's a time to go to primary school, there's time to go to secondary school, there's time to go to university. So there has been that time for me to do Spiff, and it's time for me to move on to other ways. The most important thing for me is that, I've left a legacy with the character, and that is fine for me.
I'm sure everybody listening to this would understand vividly what you're trying to say, and you touch every aspect, and it's really very, very easy to understand. Thank you very much for that. So lastly, you said something about Nollywood not being there yet. So what do you think we need to be doing to get there?
I think the government needs to take the industry very much seriously. So I don't know if they are not aware that it has been one of the most, promising industries in Nigeria in the past 10 years, at least. The amount of revenue it brings, the amount of jobs that people have gotten through just being in the creative industry is taking away the fact that from the fact of employment. And it's also, doing great things. So if the government is really serious about it, they can really grow the industry into bigger place to showcase our movies and all that.